The Swiss Family Robinson. This chapter is a synopsis of the novel The Swiss Family Robinson, written by the Swiss clergyman Johann David Weiss. It is a well-known adventure novel that has been made into graphic novels and films. It aims at teaching young people values like self-reliance, determination, love for your family, cooperation, wise use of resources, as also lessons relevant in natural sciences, good husbandry, and mathematics. William, Elizabeth, and their children, Fritz, Ernest, Jack, and Franz, were the only survivors from their ship after it was caught in a storm. The next morning, they found themselves within sight of a tropical desert island. They reached the island by constructing a vessel out of tubs. They filled it with food and ammunition and all other articles of value they could safely carry. They carried the ship's cargo of livestock, guns and powder, carpentry tools, books, a disassembled pinnacle, and provisions. After reaching the island, they set up a tent and softened the floor with armloads of grass to serve as their beds. After some days, Elizabeth gave the idea of creating a house on a large tree with a huge trunk and long extended branches so that they would be safe from jackals. The father taught the sons to calculate the height of the branches using geometry. While building the house, they used all the possible things available on the island to create things like a ladder, sledge, candles, boots, and other necessities. Meanwhile, Elizabeth cultivated plants like corn, melons, pumpkins, and cucumbers. After some time, they built a winter home to protect themselves and their belongings from the elements. Not finding a cave, they carved one out of a rock near the camping site using all the tools they had brought from the ship. They made the winter house comfortable by carving out windows, hanging a lamp at the center, and creating a fireplace. They called the island New Switzerland. They encountered many adventures over the years. After 10 years, Fritz came across a note tied to an albatross's leg and set out in search for an English woman who had been stranded on a smoking rock. He then successfully rescued the young woman, Jenny Montrose, who was shy at first but soon got used to living with the Robinson family. One day they saw a ship which had laid anchor and set up camp on one of the smaller islands nearby. The next day, when Fritz and his father met the captain and told them their own history as well as Jenny's, they were surprised to know that it had been Jenny's father who had inspired the captain's search. Everybody was overjoyed. The crew and passengers were amazed by the prosperity and good health of the survivors. Elizabeth, William, Ernest, and Jack decided to stay back on the island. Jenny, Fritz, and Franz decided to go back to Europe. Franz wanted a chance to receive an academic education. Before Fritz left, he informed his parents that he wished to marry Jenny. The father handed over the journals of all the adventures they had had on the island to the captain to publish them. Then the ship departed.
Hello my dear student, my name is Malina D'Souza. Let us start warming up for this very interesting lesson, which is a synopsis based on the novel The Swiss Family Robinson. Now in this very first question, you have to imagine yourself on an island and that you're marooned. That means you're stranded over there, you're left behind. And you have to describe in 4 sentences how would you cope up or survive in your unfamiliar surroundings. Now of course, when you imagine yourself in such a place, the first thing that you have to write about in your answer are the feelings or the emotions that you will experience. Whether you'll feel calm, you'll feel helpless, you'll feel like you're panicking. So we'll first talk about those emotions. And then we'll move ahead and we'll write down those points where we'll talk about what you'll do when you're alone on the island or how you'll plan your escape from there. So we'll first start by writing that if I was marooned, if I was stranded on an island, I would firstly remain calm and compose myself. I would remain optimistic. That means I would remain positive and hopeful. So first we talk about the emotions, then we move ahead to what you'll do on the island. Using my presence of mind, I would comb, that means I would search the nearby area for the things that I can use for my survival on the island, like build a fire, make a spear to protect myself from the predators, etc. So basically, I'll be resourceful. I will try and search for resources. Lastly, you can write down that I would hunt for some food and maybe search for water. Perhaps use some stick or cloth to create rescue signals. Now moving ahead to the next question. Now in this particular question, imagine a group of pilgrims walking through a thick jungle have lost their way. How do you think they could try to get help? What things could they use in the process? Now firstly, even the pilgrims over there, they are lost, they will have to be resourceful. And then of course, they will have to maybe build a fire like the way we read in the previous answer, maybe create some rescue signals so that they could inform the people around that they are stranded and that they need help. So we'll start by saying that the pilgrims would have to be resourceful and search for things that could be used as rescue signals. They could hunt for fresh water and even food. Since they have to travel long distance looking for help, they can also build a fire so that the rescuers could understand that someone needs help.